You're Aiden Pierce from Watch Dogs.
No, Tim. It's me, Matthias.
But if you're Matthias, then why are you wearing that mask?
Well, I'm wearing it because of the coronavirus.
The what?
The pandemic, mass hysteria, ringing a bell.
Look, Aiden, okay? I don't want any trouble. So please, just take my wallet.
That's a nice wallet.
I know, right? And you can get one that looks just like it at ridge.com/Timbo for 10% off your order.
All right, well, listen, Tim. I'm not going to take your whole lot, but how about I just take this Dick's gift card and we call it even?
Little does he know that Dick's gift card only has $3 on it. Watch Dogs is probably one of the most hyped games of all time. When the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One were first revealed, Watch Dogs was Ubisoft's big game. People were blown away by the graphics, animations, and just sheer amount of innovation moving into the next generation. While games have since reached that level of fidelity, the transition from PS3 to PS4 wasn't as large of an initial jump as people thought. And unfortunately for Ubisoft, Watch Dogs was one of the games that took a big hit from critics because of this. What once had enormous expectations to drive the industry forward turned out to be just another open world game, falling into the pile of numerous games labeled Ubisoft downgrade. While we can sit here and talk about the graphical downgrades and the false advertisement that comes because of them, today we're just going to take a look at Watch Dogs as nothing more than a game. Considering it's been 6 years since its release, playing it again now will certainly give us a different perspective. So, was Watch Dogs as bad as everyone said it was back in 2014? Or is this game better than people give it credit for? The answer is strictly my opinion, and it sits somewhere in the middle. Let me explain. I don't want to sound like I don't care about downgrades and don't think it's an issue or anything, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to disregard it for a second. The game came out 6 years ago, so I'm going to look at it as a game that came out 6 years ago. While the graphics certainly aren't amazing or as good as what we originally thought, they're still fine. Watch Dogs isn't an ugly game by any means. I would say that it looks just as good as most other games that came out around the same time. I would like to think that Watch Dogs could very well have looked as good as it did in the original demos, which are only 720p videos, I might add, if the game came out only on next gen. However, Watch Dogs released for old gen as well, coming out on pretty much every single console. Because of this, I'm sure the graphics needed to get turned down across the board. It's not like it's our fault for not seeing this coming, but I think in a lot of cases with big, fancy new games, it's best to keep your expectations realistic. And when you do that, or you go back and play this game many years after it came out, a lot of those graphical disappointments disappear. What you're left with isn't some masterpiece, but it's also not something to complain about either. Plus, coming from someone who's from Chicago, I enjoyed running around the open world a lot. One of the things that Watch Dogs does really well is the gameplay. Other than a few outliers, the mechanics are really solid. The most notable thing for me is Watch Dogs' cover and third-person shooter system. Watch Dogs has one of, if not the best cover systems in any open world game. I never feel like I'm not in control of the player while I'm moving around, shooting or sneaking through enemies. While the missions may be pretty repetitive, shooting guys in the head with a silenced pistol never gets old. Not to mention, a lot of the gameplay in Watch Dogs is more dynamic than other games. The hacking, while simple, works very well, and it leads to many unique situations that can only be found in this game. Upgrading Aiden, giving him new abilities, and then pulling them off in a high-speed chase is incredibly fun and satisfying. Using the environment and technology to your advantage is a really cool concept they pulled off well here. Not to mention the world itself feels alive thanks to the profiler. It is extremely fascinating snooping in on people's lives, getting information on their occupation, income, personal interests, etc. I can't honestly remember if I've seen one of these more than once, which is very impressive. Lots of open world games struggle to make random NPCs feel like they're part of the world, but Watch Dogs doesn't have this problem. The only bad thing I can say about the gameplay is the repetition in both the side activities and story missions, as well as some of the glitches and exploits, such as being able to escape any police chase, but just getting in a boat. There are quite a few activities, like drinking games and street activities, that just don't add much to the experience in my opinion, but I'm sure some people find them fun. I'm someone who might be in the minority, I'm really not sure, of someone who liked the first Watch Dogs more than the second. and quite honestly is someone who has little to no interest in Watch Dogs Legion. The first Watch Dogs was criticized for taking things a little bit too seriously. Unfortunately, I think Ubisoft took this criticism a little bit too harshly. Aiden Pierce wasn't and still isn't the most likable and relatable character, but at least he had a story. I don't really think the story of Watch Dogs is that good, but it has a story. Even 6 years later, before playing it again, I remember some of the characters, the basic plotline, things like that. I can't say the same for Watch Dogs 2. One of the things people liked so much about the reveal trailer for Watch Dogs was that having this eerie protagonist walking around in the rain, constructing madness around him through the use of technology was super cool. Aiden Pierce might not accurately represent what hackers actually do, but I don't think that mattered to most people. He was an assassin creating havoc while everyone around him freaked out and had no idea what was going on. It was and still is a great idea. Going back and playing the first Watch Dogs, it made me realize how much I would have preferred them to stick with Aiden and just try to expand on his character. The tone and atmosphere of the first game is far better than having millennials try to gain followers while they stick it to the man. I think Watch Dogs Legion proves that Ubisoft doesn't really know what they want Watch Dogs to be. It's changed so much from its original design that, apart from the hacking mechanics, it's unrecognizable at this point. People didn't like Aiden, so instead of trying to dive deeper into his character, they went to a different protagonist. And after people didn't really like that protagonist, they've now moved on to an unlimited amount of protagonists. Because I guess everyone can be a hacker now. I think this happens pretty often, but it seems like Ubisoft took the fact that people liked T-Bone and Jordy more than Aiden, and just tried to make every character like that. In result, I would argue a sequel was created that wasn't really grounded anymore. The mystery and tone from the first game was, and still seems to be, completely gone. This isn't meant to be a large section of me hating on Watch Dogs 2 and Watch Dogs Legion, which I'll add isn't even out yet, but I mainly want to emphasize that in terms of atmosphere, the first Watch Dogs takes the cake. All in all, the first Watch Dogs is a game that's overall pretty average. It's not fantastic, but it's not as bad as many people originally thought it was. It's just another case of false hope, expectations, or whatever you want to call it. The story definitely lags behind, but I personally wish that they would have chosen to attempt to expand on what was already there, instead of basically starting over again. Future Watch Dogs games innovated the hacking mechanics, which is a plus, but in my opinion, the tone and identity of the game has changed for the worse, while the individual narratives get more and more forgettable. I know many of you probably haven't played Watch Dogs in a very long time, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Have your feelings changed on Watch Dogs since it first came out? Do you agree with the direction the studio has taken the franchise? Let me know down in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, leaving me a positive rating is greatly appreciated. For more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. Don't forget to check out Ridge Wallet linked down in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.